Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is DLPOV, and Captain America: Civil War has finally come out. I got to experience it like May 5th in New York with fellow Marvel fans, like all the waiting in line, the people dressed up as our favorite characters of the movie. It was an amazing experience. So let me just give you my quick review. I'm going to talk about no spoilers in this video. I'm actually making a separate video for that, and tell you whether the movie's worth watching or not. First of all, let's get into the story. The story is quite simple. It revolves around the Civil War event, and if you're familiar with the comics, it revolves around people get injured, and the Avengers question among themselves because they're kind of forced into a spot where they're in talks with the government whether or not there should be people looking after them, should people who tell them whether or not they can interact or go into an event when it gets dangerous or not, whether the Avengers should intervene or not. And this is just more than simply saying like, hey, there's a bombing going there, go check it out. This is more than that. This is also telling them if there's something wrong, they are not allowed to act by themselves. They have to ask permission to the government before taking any action. Excuse me. And this is kind of where the Avengers group among themselves start to split out. You have the team of, like, as you can see over there, Tony Stark, Iron Man, who says like we should just sign the documents, we should be governed by them basically. And then you have Captain America's team, Steve Rogers, who says no, we have freedom. What if something does go wrong and we have to ask permission to the government to do something about it, maybe get denied, and just watch it go down. So that's kind of like around where the story mainly revolves around. Simple story. It plays, if you're familiar with the comics, it plays some tribute to it. There are the main elements of the original story do come in to the movie, and that's what I personally loved, because looking at these trailers, looking at the overall casting, you could already tell that it was not going to be like the original comics. But at the same time, I'm happy after watching it that it does keep the important factors that played in the comics. It does keep those in the movie through a different variant at least. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the villains. Some of you may or may not know that Crossbones, Captain America villain, does come in play, and in the comics he does have a rather important role. I'm not going to say what. And in this movie, he does play a certain important, subtle but important role as well. So if you were thinking about like, hey, like Crossbones is going to be like a cameo, just like with Baron Strucker in Avengers: Age of Ultron, he was just playing a minor role in the beginning of the movie. If you were worried about that in Crossbones, you do not need to worry about that. I'll go into that in my spoiler video, which is going to be separate from this. Next up, the thing that these Marvel movies are known for, especially the Captain America movies, are also the action aside from their story. And I can tell you that the action in this movie is absolutely amazing. There's no way to say it, take it any lightly. Like, holy crap! If you love choreographed fighting, this is done so well. And what I love about this movie as well, it's not only do you get just the one-on-one fighting, but you also get like the group fighting, and that's so good. Because as you could tell already, like the wall in the back, the group split up, and as you probably already seen in the trailers, they fight against each other, and those fights are great. There's no simpler way to say it than they are great. They are so well done. I'm gonna go watch it in IMAX again, because that movie and the fighting and the story is so great. Now, another thing that some people may ask themselves, like, hey, I want to take my girlfriend to watch a movie. She hasn't seen like Ant-Man, she hasn't seen like the Winter Soldier, she hasn't seen the previous Iron Man movie, she hasn't seen Age of Ultron. Is it okay for her to go and watch it, or any other family member or whatever? Well, this is where I have to say no, because you kind of like the thing about this movie is that, as you already know, the Winter Soldier does reappear in this movie, and that's the thing about it. Like you kind of value the characters more if you know more about them. So seeing Ant-Man in the movie, if you didn't know Ant-Man who he was, and you just introduced to him, you do enjoy his dialogue in the movie. You do enjoy the action that like it's going to come off as a surprise maybe, but that build up of like the first Ant-Man movie, that you don't get that backstory, and there are some inside jokes like in the inside dialogue that you won't otherwise understand, because it revolves around something regarding Ant-Man as well. Um, Otherwise, like yeah, the Age of Ultron, the New York events, as you could tell by the trailer, they come very minor in role, but in general, you feel more for these characters, especially Age of Ultron, because we are introduced to Scarlet Witch in that movie. And if you have not watched Age of Ultron, what are you doing watching this review? But like there is something like something major happens in that movie that plays into Scarlet Witch's role, and you can tell that aside from this movie that part also affects her. Otherwise, yeah, like just be very wary that if you are bringing someone who's not familiar with the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the three major movies that I would advise anyone to watch before going into Civil War would be, of course, Captain America Civil War, Captain America Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man would be a minor role in those movies, but definitely like at least those two, like the Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron, are definitely movies that you should watch before you go into this, to better understand why the characters are acting the way that they do. How do I rank this movie among the others? After I watched the movie, I straight up went to my friend's house, visited him, need to get some shit done, and I told him that this movie is up there with Guardians of the Galaxy and Winter Soldier, in my opinion. The story was well done. The characters were great. The interaction among each other was great. The overall presentation was great. It was a bit long, I'll admit that, but it didn't bother me because I wanted to see more. And yes, it's up there. It's definitely one of the better Marvel movies out there, and the Russo brothers did an amazing job with this. It's an absolutely must watch if you are a Marvel fan. If you are not and you have not watched the previous, remember, watch Age of Ultron or Winter Soldier first before you go into this movie. Now, there are some minor nitpicks that I will say, and that is the fact that there is a villain in this movie. If you were keeping up to date with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like the media behind it, then you know that there's a villain behind this, and there are some flaws in his plans, and maybe I'll need some time to think about his reasoning for doing so, but I find it unfortunate that the villain was handled the way that he was. However, I will go into my spoiler review, so if you have watched the movie already and want to get into that, I'll leave a link down below, check my channel out, and you'll see like this full spoiler review of this movie. But yes, that's kind of like the only nitpick that I have. Otherwise, the story was well done. And now something that you guys might ask yourself is like, what's up with Black Panther? What's up with my boy Spider-Man right here? Well, I posted a Facebook message yesterday. Aside from the good story and the great cast, I was looking forward to one other thing, and that is Spider-Man in the MCU. Best Spider-Man, hands down. Like, I'm a fan of Tobey Maguire. I'm a fan of Andrew Garfield. But Tom Holland, you swung that bat and you hit a home run. You're running the full circle. You're holy shit. Like this Spider-Man, if you have any doubt, if you had any doubt about this Spider-Man, I'm telling you right now, don't. Oh my God, he was great. He was like, I'm not gonna spoil too much. He's well handled. I'll fanboy about him in the spoiler review, but just have no worries. Spider-Man is done right. Best Spider-Man so far, in my opinion. Black Panther, he got a small introduction. I mean, and by that I mean his background, his introduction was small. His appearance was well done. He was well handled as a superhero. I feel that if we do get backstory regarding his past, I wouldn't mind getting it a little bit through flashbacks in his solo movie. However, if they don't, I don't mind because this movie does a good job in introducing you to the character, telling you who he is, what he's about, and getting straight to the action. Because his costume, first of all, looks sick as fuck. His actions, his fighting, it looks crazy. The actor, I apologize for not remembering his name right now, but the actor portrays him in a cool manner. Like, I'm not too familiar with the character in general. I've seen a couple of things. I've read a couple of his books, but so far, from what I'm seeing, he's playing the good King of Wakanda that I thought he would be in the comics. So I'm happy that he's also being well handled. Before Spider-Man was introduced accepted into this movie, like I was really excited about seeing Black Panther in this movie, and I'm telling you, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is definitely not disappointing on that side of their movies. Like Black Panther's being handled well, Spider-Man's being handled well. Vision, seeing him now in the second movie, he's being handled in a great way. Scarlett Johansson, Scarlet Witch is being put in a place where she's getting character development. Scarlett Johansson is being who I thought she would be. Like Black Widow, she is keeping consistent to her character, and I'm happy that they're not like changing things up all of a sudden just because of the Civil War and we need to make the sides even. So there's consistency in her character. I love that. Furthermore, like War Machine, Iron Man, all doing their job, all working well together. Bucky, Falcon, Spider-Man, Steve Rogers, like man, the whole cast was great. Seeing Thunderbolt Ross as well, like oh my god, please bring Red Hulk to the movies eventually. Please do that, because furthermore, just to quickly end this review and stop fanboying, because you should, if you love Marvel movies, go watch this movie. You owe it to yourself to watch this movie. Furthermore, I just want to say that from a more subjective point of view, yes, the movie is subjective. Objective point of view, this movie is great. There are some flaws, some minor flaws in the story. There are some good twists in the movie, and just go watch it. My name is DLPOV, and I will be reviewing more movies towards the future. Review manga, anime, eventually games. So if you liked this review, please hit that like button. Comment down below if you're excited to see the movie. If you've already watched the movie, just go to my spoiler review and comment all the spoilers that you want over there. But otherwise, if you haven't yet and you will enjoy the movie, you owe it to yourself. Have a great day. Bye. Oh, I hit that subscribe button.